Something sexual, yeah. Am I the only one? Yeah. Am I everything you need to rock your body right? Everybody.
Yeah.
Let's see, that's recording.
All right, let's do this.
Welcome to Namely 90s. Wow. The podcast that takes you back to the time before smartphones, Google, and Y2K. Join your hosts as they relive the pop culture that shaped a generation and the parts that many people wish they could forget. Listen in to the conversation about how the decade defined those who spent their childhood there and how it shaped them as adults. So, turn down the grunge and dial up the internet. Let's get started. It's time for Namely 90s.
That's right, you're listening to Namely 90s. My name's Andrew, and over there is Brandon.
That's me.
You can find us online at namely90s.com. We're on Twitter and Instagram, mostly Instagram because F Twitter, at Namely90s. You can also find us on YouTube at namely90s.com/YouTube or youtube.com/@namely90s. And finally, if you'd like to support the show, head over to patreon.com and sign up for one of our support levels. Wow, I sound so nasally.
I wasn't going to say anything.
I just have like this nonsense allergy business, and I forgot the Flonase today.
Are your allergies bad this year? It seems like everyone's allergies are bad this year.
Yeah, there's also like some sort of plague here of like insects by the river.
Locusts?
Like you drive by at dusk and your car just gets pelted. It sounds like it's raining, but it's just bugs.
Ew, that's gross.
Which sucks. I just got my car washed before I came home.
Oh, I have a car wash subscription now, so I do too.
Oh. But the car wash is in the town where I was driving back from.
Gotcha.
It's like an endless loop of car washes.
Yeah, exactly. And I also got to say, I don't know what I'm paying for because I got my car washed. I went through the car wash. Exact same stains are on my car.
And what's the deal with car washes?
And I'm supposedly getting like the top tier thing with the subscription. So it's like, but every time I go there, it's varying quality of what they do to pre-wash my car.
I'm sorry, I swear, like our car wash place has like different ones. Mm-hmm. There's no difference. Like all the same nozzles come on, they shoot out the same stuff. There's no difference.
It's the mix of the soap, I assume.
I just think you're a sucker if you pay for the high plan because it's just the same thing.
Well, I mean, there's only one subscription fee, and I got in early, so it's $5 off for however long I'm subscribed. But it's just like they have people out front that like will like wash down your car and pre-rinse it and whatever. But like the degree to which they do it varies every single time. I've not had a consistent car wash from this place. And
I bet like the way in which they do that pre-wash thing, like I've never seen a human being put so little effort into anything in my entire life.
There was one kid who noticed my car had some crap on it because it's a white car. How do you not notice the crap on it? And he actually kind of like used the pressure washer on
like
it.
I feel like it actually takes more effort to appear that lazy when doing it than just doing it like in a normal intensity, you know?
Especially in a college town, you just have like people trying too hard to not look like they're doing anything.
Like the guy, I saw one guy who's just like, he looked like a zombie and he just was holding the wand and he didn't even hold his hand. Like he just like walked with the wand and like sprayed it and it like barely, I was like, what the hell?
Yeah. And then they'll either put my mirrors in or they won't. And the machines inside the car wash will push it in.
Yeah, I can go one day, the machines get all, or the mirrors get all jacked up, and the next day I go and they're fine. I'm like, it's the same place.
Yep.
It's the same except place. It exists in the multiverse.
I hit the same line every time. Also, like, I think this place is designed for like a truck your size versus my like mid-sized sedan, mid-sized sedan, which is lower to the ground. Like nothing there. If it goes around it, like the area between my not side view mirrors and the car, like that stretch of window, nothing gets cleaned.
Yeah, not on mine either.
Yeah.
Speaking of the multiverse, I tell you, I'm reading Timeline finally.
You did. Either last week or...
God, that book is that's a slog.
2 weeks ago, yeah. I thought you liked Crichton, though.
I do, but it's a little too heavy on the medieval stuff. As you know, that's not my forte, but I'm getting through it. It's good. It's good.
You just said it's a slog and it's hard to get through.
Well, it's 600 pages, which is his longest book, as far as I know.
Fair.
And it's a lot of medieval stuff. And I'm like, but they keep me interested with the science. Oh, hey, fun website update. I went to namely90s.com 2 days ago, and it just said this domain has expired. I was like,
Well done.
So I jumped on Google Domains, got that renewed, and I have to still change the DNS over. So it's temporarily down, but as of this coming out, it should be there.
Oh, it happened again. That's funny.
What's that?
The auto renewal didn't work for the Google
Well,
domains.
my card got canceled twice this year because of fraudulent activity.
Right.
And it's not like Google wasn't trying to notify me.
Yeah, you kept getting the emails. I know how that goes. I have my own domains, so I look after.
So I got them back. I mean, they weren't gone. I had another week or two to claim them, but whoops. Anyway,
I bought someone a domain name for their birthday present like 7 years ago, and I've yet to cancel it or transfer it over to them. And they don't even use it anymore because they don't travel and have a travel blog anymore. But it was. I'm just like every time it's around their birthday, it's a nice reminder because then I can send a card. But it's just like, I should really cancel this.
But I will say the nice thing is my card getting canceled is the reason why I didn't get charged $300 for hosting automatically like I do every year, and then I'm surprised by it.
We've been working since last month to transfer it over, and by we I mean you. And I just keep reminding you every so often.
Yeah, I just forgot. I'm sorry. But I'll get it done. It's not that hard of a thing to do. It's just a matter of doing it.
That's funny.
But no, the fact that it didn't just... What happens usually is it just auto-renews at the really high price. And I'm like, oh, well, okay then. So anyway, here we are.
Except that's only happened once out of the 2 times or 3 times?
Twice. No, I did it originally. And then at year 1 and year 2.
Year 1 did not auto-renew. Because I was like, hey, the website's down. I remember that.
Oh.
And then I was like, and then that's when we got into the whole, I'm paying $300 for this now.
I thought it auto-renewed. Anyway.
I will go back and find the episode for you, but I definitely.
Well, in any case, it's too goddamn much.
One time it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it's the first year because you thought,
Is that 10 minutes? I don't know. Is it 10-ish minutes?
Anything else? But how was your Memorial Day?
It was good. I don't want to get into it too much because I'm kind of angered by this whole Memorial Day thing. But do I have to now expound on that?
I mean, you could just sound like an angry person for no reason.
No, there's always some like a-hole on Facebook who's like, remember, this holiday is about, fallen soldiers and their sacrifice and not about you having a barbecue. And every year I'm like, yes. Although I suspect the person who died for this country probably would A, be having a barbecue if they were still alive, and B, would want us to have a barbecue. So knock it off. Like, I don't need, what is the term for that? When
guilt.
Yeah, guilt tripping people.
Yes.
It's like just not necessary. Like, yes, I know what the holiday is for.
Right.
I'm going to enjoy the day off. I'm going to give some remembrance. It's going to be fine.
Yeah, just memorialize that Jesus died for your sins and
have
a Merry Christmas.
And the fact I still can't get over, and this, I know this isn't like some liberal podcast. Well, it is. Is like, okay, great. We're honoring fallen soldiers by continuing to allow people to shoot school children.
Yep.
Like, what if we honor their sacrifice by not allowing our children to get murdered by way of legislation, which we're allowed to do in this country because of people who fought for that?
But now,
that's what I'm talking about.
But now
let's boycott Chick-fil-A. No, sorry.
Let's God damn it! You just stole my joke as I was waiting for you to finish.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't know. We're on the same wavelength.
I was gonna say no, but now let's boycott Chick-fil-A, which doesn't really do anything for anyone. But now they've hired a VP of diversity. That's too woke. Chick-fil-A's gone woke.
I think we talked about this, but hot take: Chick-fil-A is not good.
Agreed. The nuggies were good-ish, but the only thing that makes Chick-fil-A good, as we've said previously, is the sauce. The sauce makes it. Yeah. Without the sauce, it's nothing.
But I don't know what they're going to do if the conservatives stop going there.
Yeah, just all the liberals that don't care about the open policies they have about not liking gay people or something.
The problem is when you hire a VP of diversity and inclusion and stuff, that also includes just like black people. Yeah. So now they're just like, oh, we're just openly racist now. They're not even hiding it anymore.
Yeah.
Also, I wish the word boycott would just be deleted from the English language because it's like my least favorite A concept and B word because it's been overused by these lunatics.
And C, gendered.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
Why can't a girl caught it?
Yeah,
or they caught
that's
it.
very true. Oh, gosh. What a world we live in.
That's how we just celebrated Pride Month. But yes, happy kickoff to Pride Month, everyone.
Yeah, and now let's conclude by talking about the whitest sport in history.
Actually, yeah, I guess.
Curling. Maybe.
Yes. I did go on a date with a girl twice that who was black and or half black, half I want to say Thai. But she was like, yeah, I'm trying to get she was super into hockey. She was like year level hockey knowledge, if not more. And she was like, yeah, I'm just trying to get people I don't know if she phrased it weird but like she wanted to get more black people into hockey. And
that's a cool concept.
Yeah.
Two more things.
Yes. Now we've gone long.
It's okay.
Okay.
The guy on Facebook who was like complaining that they canceled fishing on some river. And the reason was that Native Americans had caught too many fish this year. And he was like butthurt about it.
Before you just more expounding on that, it was I don't have this verified. I read this on Reddit or a forum somewhere.
But my point is, like, we took their land. Can't they have a few extra goddamn fish? Like,
yeah, a whale or two maybe.
And then the last thing I have to finish with is I read some article about the whole debt ceiling getting figured out, and basically they slashed a bunch of stuff. They increased defense spending, but decreased a bunch of other crap. But then I found a screenshot, or I took a screenshot of the verbiage, and it says, the agreement allowed the Senate to skip a series of hurdles that could have, without unanimous consent, pushed the U.S. past the June 5th debt ceiling deadline. Senators also wanted to leave town for a long weekend, hastening the procedural talks. But,
par for the course.
A long weekend? They had weeks, months to figure this crap out, and they just bickered and bantered and wasted a bunch of time, and now they're like, now we gotta get out for the weekend. And they probably slipped some clause where abortion is now illegal forever in there or something.
Have you seen our Senate or
can we write
Congress?
A bill that says something and then just write no takesies backsies? Does that work?
Yeah, it's called the Constitution of the United States of America.
Anyway, now we've definitely gone long. Sorry.
Yeah.
But I had to say those things.
Yeah. Happy Pride, everyone. And fuck you, conservatives.
Yeah. I mean, really, that's just what it comes down to.
Yep.
Anyway, so we've got the coveted explicit tag on this episode at this point.
Yep.
Anyway, nothing more explicit than some good old-fashioned Canadians punching the shit out of each other.
Can't wait for the audience that this is intended for to be like, well, I got turned off by that liberal talk of them in the beginning. We're boycotted Namely 90s.
Boycott them. Girl got them.
We'll download them just to delete them from our phone. Yeah, do that. Do that. Download and then delete us.
All right.
And just keep doing it on social media.
Let's get into this. So we are going to do a deep dive episode, unlike our usual every other week. Well, no, that doesn't make any sense. We switch off, right? Between the variety show and the deep dive.
Correct.
And this week it's a deep dive. And I spent an hour trying to figure out what I could do it on. And then after like 2 minutes, you came up with a really good idea.
I did.
So we are going to talk about the NHL, the National Hockey League in the 90s, because the current day Stanley Cup playoffs begin June 3rd between the Florida Panthers and the Vegas Golden Knights. And that is a 7-game series. So we're kind of coming out right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, I want to talk a little bit about the NHL in the 90s because some stuff happened.
I only know about Wayne Gretzky, LA Kings.
Right.
And that was like a year.
It was like 4 or 5 years.
Was it? I thought it wasn't.
The Rangers were like a year or two.
Okay. I thought the Rangers was the longer thing. Sorry, go ahead.
All right. Clearly, I did not just write this as a script. As the Stanley Cup finals are upon us this year, we're taking a look back at the NHL in the 90s. The 90s was an eventful decade in the NHL. I stole this directly from the NHL website, including many great achievements on the ice. No, I wrote this. Whoops.
Oh.
I thought I just stole it, but I actually wrote this. All right, sorry. The 90s was an eventful decade in the NHL, including many great achievements on the ice, drama behind the scenes, and some woeful TV broadcast innovations, in air quotes, that would be mocked for decades to come. Anyway, so the National Hockey League is a professional ice hockey league in North America, currently comprising of 32 teams, 25 of which are in the United States and 7 of which are in Canada. It is the top-ranked professional hockey league in the world and is one of the 4 major professional sports leagues in the U.S. and Canada. The Stanley Cup, believe it or not, is actually the oldest professional sports trophy in North America. And is awarded annually to the league playoff champion at the end of each season. It also gets to go with that. It's kind of cool. It gets to go with that team for the summer, and like each person gets to have a day with the cup. And like a lot of people take it back to their hometown for, like a parade, and some people just like drink Jägermeister out of it, or like use it to make a sundae.
Yeah.
And there's just like some dude with like white gloves who carries it around everywhere.
I don't think that would fit in an oven.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what you can do with it all in total, but
also you don't bake a sundae.
But the cool thing I learned is like the cup itself has like all those rings around it at the bottom, and those can be removed and like put on, and that has the different names of everyone. So like the Stanley Cup that goes out doesn't have everyone's name on it anymore, but they have all the things. Anyway, it's kind of cool.
I thought it was just like a new base each time.
Yeah, and then the bases can be like stacked. The NHL is the 5th wealthiest professional sports league in the world by revenue after the NFL, MLB, NBA, and the English Premier League.
I thought golf would be on there.
Premier League.
The soccer. Or football. Sorry.
And this might be pandering, but for those of you who don't know, ice hockey is a sport comprising of 2 teams, each with 5 skaters on the ice and 1 goaltender. There are 3 offensive players, including center, left wing, and right wing. Not political, as it turns out. There are 2 defensemen and 1 goaltender. Hockey is played in 3 20-minute periods with an 18-minute intermission between, primarily to allow adequate time for the ice to be resurfaced and to dry. The process of this is typically achieved by using a Zamboni, which is the brand name for the most common ice resurfacing machine in the world. But it's one of those terms that's like Kleenex, because the term Zamboni used to reference any ice surfacing machine, even though other brands exist. Isn't there a term for that? Kleenex or like Ziploc?
I only know the opposite would be a generic term.
Yeah, I just feel like there was some word for like a brand name that goes into the lexicon, but I couldn't find it.
I'll look into that while you continue.
Players use their sticks to move a frozen, vulcanized rubber disc or puck along the ice with the objective of getting the puck past the opposing team's goaltender and into their net, at which point 1 point is scored. That sounds like I copied that from Wikipedia, but I actually wrote that.
All of that?
Yeah. entirely, just from my head, my brain. But anyway, so if you didn't know what hockey was, now you know, sort of. Canadians love putting stuff on ice and moving it around. This is the synopsis of the 90s from the NHL website that I thought I was reading earlier. 1990 saw the last gasp of the Edmonton Oilers dynasty, and that's what you referenced, where Wayne Gretzky was part of that Oilers team that won 5 championships in 7 years. This 1990 championship was the first one that lacked Gretzky on that team. 4 years later, the captain of the team that won the 5th championship, the Oilers, Mark Messier, scored the goal that ended the New York Rangers' 54-year Stanley Cup drought, the longest in league history.
Let me just cut back in with your generic trademark. The term is either generic trademark or genericized trademark or proprietary eponym.
I swear there was like a single word that described when something like Kleenex became like the word that you use for tissue, but I couldn't find it.
Eponym.
Okay. By the end of an eventful decade, a host of future Hall of Famers had led the Pittsburgh Penguins to 2 titles. That would be Mark Messier, and then who's the other guy? Oh gosh, I'm blanking on the other guy.
Genericization.
There was
Antonomus.
Mario Lemieux was on the Penguins. The New Jersey Devils and Colorado Avalanche announced their arrival among the NHL's elite teams with their first wins, and the Detroit Red Wings won consecutive championships after a very long drought. Overall, it was a pretty good decade. In 1990, the league consisted of just 21 teams, and by 1999, that number had grown to 28, marking really an explosive expansion by 7 teams in 10 years. And for fun, I put in here the perspective of the league has really only added 4 teams in the last 23 years, but they added 7 and 10 in the 90s. This is a massive growth phase for them.
Antonomasia is the word. See,
no, I must be thinking of something different. I may just have this completely confused at this point.
Probably.
I was going to cover some of the notable Stanley Cup wins. Don't worry, I'm not doing every year. As I said, in 1990, the Edmonton Oilers captured their 5th Stanley Cup in 7 years, and their first since trading Gretzky in '88, defeating Boston for their 2nd Stanley Cup triumph over Boston in 3 seasons.
Suck it, Bruins.
That's right. In 1994, the New York Rangers won. Stretched to the limit, the New York Rangers ended their 54-year Stanley Cup drought by edging the Vancouver Canucks in a stirring Stanley Cup final. The Rangers jumped out to a 3-1 series lead, only to see the Canucks storm back with 2 wins, forcing a Game 7. The Rangers earned a 3-2 win and the Stanley Cup.
Nice.
97, the Detroit Red Wings launched a celebration 42 years in the making as they scored a highlight reel Stanley Cup winning goal as the Detroit Red Wings won their first Stanley Cup since 1955 with a 4-game series sweep of the Philadelphia Flyers. But where it gets really cool is in 1998, the Detroit Red Wings swept the Washington Capitals to become the first team since the Pittsburgh Penguins in 91 and 92, and the most recent to win 2 Stanley Cups in a row. That's crazy. That's a long time ago at this point. Yeah, so that was really cool that they won 2 in a row and that no one's done that since.
Yeah.
After having had such a long drought, you know?
Is it a long... Wait, I guess...
42 years.
A drought for them winning. Gotcha.
Winning the Stanley Cup, yeah.
I was going to say, because the Penguins literally did it earlier in the decade. There's a lot... looking at this list, there's a lot of, like, triple overtime wins... for the final.
Yeah, like there was one that was like 53 minutes of overtime. I think I saw a longer game a couple years ago that was like 5 extra periods. It was insane.
Wow.
There were a couple walkouts. There was a strike in 92, which postponed 30 games.
That's right.
And there was an NHL lockout in 94-95, which canceled many of the games of that season, including the All-Star game. And it shortened the regular season to 48 games, which normally I think it's around 80. And there were no interconference games. And I thought also interestingly to talk about some of the expansion teams that came about because it was such a busy time. In 1991, the San Jose Sharks. That's cool.
I like the San Jose Sharks. They were one of my teams before we got Seattle Kraken.
In 1992, the Ottawa Senators and Tampa Bay Lightning. In 1993, the Florida Panthers and the Anaheim Ducks. Quack, 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 quack. In 1996, the Winnipeg Jets become the Phoenix Coyotes. Not really an expansion, but a change.
Mm-hmm.
In 1998, the Nashville Predators. And in 1999, the Atlanta Thrashers, who have now since become the Winnipeg Jets again somehow.
I don't remember the Atlanta Thrashers.
Yeah, they were around, and then Winnipeg went away to become Phoenix, and then Atlanta became Winnipeg again.
Does Houston still have a team?
Houston has not had a team.
Weren't they
Dallas, the Dallas Stars. No, that's the Edmonton Oilers.
Were they always the Edmonton Oilers? That's right. Yeah.
Pretty sure, because that's a big oil country up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's it for the first half here. We're now going to go to a short 18-minute intermission to resurface the ice, and Brandon is now going to do the Namely 90s 18 minutes. No, I'm kidding. And now let's go to Brandon for the Namely 90s Minute.
Welcome back to our mid-episode break, Namely 90s Minute. Every week we look back at a culturally relevant show, movie, or piece of pop culture that probably helps stoke the algorithm. This week, in honor of Transformers Rise of the Beasts, we're looking back at my favorite Transformers series growing up, Beast Wars Transformers. Beast Wars Transformers is a computer animated television series from the people that did Reboot and ran from 1996 to 1999, spanning 3 seasons. The series starred the voice talents of Colonel Chekhov from Stargate SG-1 as Optimus Primal, the announcer for Last Week Tonight with John Oliver as Megatron, the English voice of Duo Maxwell in Mobile Suit Gundam Wing as Rat Trap, the voice of Bob/Glitch Bob in the later seasons of Reboot as Cheetor, the voice of Professor Moriarty in Sherlock Holmes in the 22nd century as Rhinox, and the rest of the cast is basically the rest of the Ocean dub cast of Dragon Ball Z and most Canadian dubs in the late 90s. The story starts on Cybertron, centuries after the events of the original Transformers series, where a gang of Predacons steal an ancient relic and flee from a group of Maximals in a spaceship, and in the ensuing space battle, both ships get damaged and end up going through a rift in space and crash land on a planet similar to prehistoric Earth. The Predacons are descendants of the evil Decepticons, and the Maximals are descendants of the heroic Autobots. As they're crashing, Optimus Primal ejects his cargo of stasis pods holding dormant Maximals that then scan the local fauna and become animals instead of the usual cars Transformers are known for. The first season is mostly them fighting against Megatron and recovering their allies before Megatron can corrupt them. Eventually, they realize they are actually on prehistoric Earth and were sent back in time. They discover the Ark hidden in a volcano holding the Gen 1 Transformers led by Optimus Prime, who are in stasis waiting to awaken during the events of the first Transformers series. Megatron, the Predacon Megatron, because why not be confusing, kills Optimus Prime, causing a paradox storm, so Optimus Primal takes Optimus Prime's spark while they try to heal Prime's body, which gives Primal a new body. Eventually they heal Optimus Prime and return the spark, but that gave Megatron the idea to steal Megatron's spark. Oh dear, I've gone cross-eyed. In the end, they capture their Megatron, and the survivors of the Beast Wars take the ship back through the rift and head back to Cybertron, having prevented any timeline damage. And that's Beast Wars Transformers in a Namely 90s Minute. More or less.
And now, back to the show. So, I mean, the thing I really wanted to talk about is something called FoxTrax. And we talked about FoxTrax back in season 1 of Namely 90s.
Oh, yes.
But I don't think we gave it like the full treatment. So
we gave it a full 10-minute talking to.
Did we really? Oh, my God.
It was the first episode of 2021. Or the first episode we recorded in 2021. That's the January 1996 episode. You can scroll all the way back up.
Well, if you want to listen to me with a less nasally voice, go back to that episode.
Well, I'm sure you'll bring more to the table.
So, FoxTrax, also referred to as the Glowing Puck, is an augmented reality system that was used by Fox Sports telecasts of the NHL from 1996 to 98. The idea with this thing was people had a hard time following the puck on the TV. And I think part of that was TV sucked back then. Like, it wasn't HD. It was 4:3 aspect ratio. It was on a CRT monitor. It was terrible.
Yeah, I mean, just the scans on the CRT.
Right. The idea was to help people follow the puck. And so basically, I didn't realize it was this complicated, but they used these modified hockey pucks containing shock sensors and infrared emitters, which were read by sensors and computer systems to generate these graphics. Basically, there was a blue glow around the puck to make it more obvious, but it would also have trails depending on how hard it was shot and the hardness with which it was shot as well. This all started when, in 1994, Fox won a contract to broadcast NHL games in the United States, which seems to change every 5 to 10 years. It changed to ESPN a couple of years ago, and it's been garbage since. But anyway, David Hill, the head of Fox Sports at the time, believed that if viewers could easily follow the puck, the game would be less confusing to newcomers and would appeal to a broader audience. He pitched the idea to Rupert Murdoch, and it was approved to be developed and rolled out during the 1996 NHL All-Star Game. And it was actually used until the end of the 1998 season, or the 97-98 season.
Just I like to point out, Rupert Murdoch is Australian, I think. So
Australian.
What would he know about hockey? He's just yeah, it sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah.
That's not the accent.
Make me money. Make me money.
All right, hold on.
That wouldn't be the accent either.
I have to sneeze. Yeah, you have to sneeze, but it won't come out.
Yes. Is that the one where you're supposed to stare into the lights, or is that the... There it is.
There it is. Anyway, so it's interesting. They actually still use the FoxTrax moniker as a branding tool for other on-screen tracking graphics in other sports, such as a virtual strike zone during baseball games and statistics displayed during NASCAR events.
Yeah.
They're only related in name. I mean, there's no other relation. I just thought it's real complex how this all happens. I just thought they just applied it as an overlay to the broadcast based on the speed the puck was moving across the screen.
Oh, yeah. I guess that would make sense too, but it's a lot of computing, isn't it?
But in fact, the system utilized a modified hockey puck cut in half to embed an array of infrared emitters, a shock sensor, and an embedded circuit board and battery. The halves of the puck were then bound back together using an epoxy. Modified pucks were engineered to have the same weight and balance as an unmodified NHL puck. But the chief engineer, Rick Cavallaro, noted that players could tell if the puck was even slightly off from its normal weight because it behaved differently. And they put him through a bunch of tests, but at the end of the day, the players still thought the puck felt like it had more rebound or bounce to it, but they still went ahead with the thing and it worked out fine. Not really. So how it worked is the puck emitted infrared pulses that were detected by cameras, and the shutters were synchronized to the pulses. At that point, the data from the cameras was transmitted to a production trailer named, I love this, the Puck Truck.
Yeah.
How outrageous.
Getting on in the Puck Truck.
Which contained workstations, like supercomputers, basically, not quite, used to calculate the coordinates of candidate targets and render appropriate graphics onto them.
Yeah.
I wrote that, no. The puck was given a blue-colored glow, which is what I remember. Passes were indicated with a bluish glow plus a tail indicating its path. And when the puck moved faster than 70 miles per hour, a red tail was added, so presumably shots.
I like how they thought being able to see the puck would make it easier to understand the game. But then, while watching, the puck keeps changing colors, and you're like, what is going on?
It's bizarre.
Yeah.
So, despite rumors that Fox employees would sometimes go into the stands to retrieve a puck that had left the playing area, the pucks were not reusable and only had a battery life of 18 minutes.
No way.
They had to bring 50 pucks to each game. And
was that before rechargeable batteries?
I guess. Well, you couldn't open them back up.
Oh, because of the epoxy.
So he did say that the spectators really wanted the pucks and they would collect them and stuff. So
that'd be a cool thing to get.
But now let's get to the meat of it here. The FoxTrax system was widely criticized by hockey fans who felt that the graphics were distracting and meant to make the broadcast cater toward casual viewers. Oh, God forbid. Sports writer Greg Wisniewski, I guess.
I don't know.
Wisniewski. I can't say it. Something Polish. That's Polish, right?
I have no idea.
Stated that FoxTrax was cheesy enough that it looked like hockey by way of a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers production budget. I thought you liked that line.
Thank you. Yes, I did enjoy that.
And considered it a sad commentary on what outsiders thought of both hockey and American hockey fans. That period should be inside the quotation. Acknowledging that Canadian-born journalist Peter Jennings of, I believe, ABC News, who was interviewed as a guest during the 96 All-Star Game that introduced technology.
That's right, he was Canadian?
He was. Stated on air that Canadians would probably hate it. And Wisniewski suggested that FoxTrax was an admission to that American viewers were too hockey stupid to follow the play or need to be distracted by shiny new toys in order to watch the sport. Wow, they have a low opinion of Americans. Then again, we kind of bring it on ourselves.
Yeah, it's not
is there any way to
wrong.
attach a gun to the puck so it just shoots bullets out so we can tell where it is?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And then we would protect it from being stolen by audience members.
In 2002, an informal poll by ESPN solicited opinions from readers on the worst innovations in sports history without specifying choices in advance. The Fox Glow Puck came in 6th place, which is better than I thought. I thought it would be worse.
What was higher on that list?
Free agency, and then I don't know the rest of the list. This next comment shows the importance of non-biased studies. A survey commissioned by Fox itself claimed that 10 out of 10 respondents liked the new puck, but only 9 out of 10 dentists liked it. Okay.
Bazinga.
I need the rim shot on that one. In 2014, sports writer Aaron Brown of Slate called it one of sports broadcasting's most ridiculed experiments. Cavallero, the chief engineer, defended FoxTrax in a 1997 paper for the IEEE Computer Graphics and Applications, calling it an overall success. I don't think he has evidence for that. They contributed to higher ratings for Fox. He later claimed that most people were impressed by the technology, even if they hated the effect.
The Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineering.
It's cool. They were smart. The way they did it was really cool.
Yeah.
Building upon his work, Cavallaro co-established a new company known as Sport Vision in 1998, which marketed other forms of sports graphics technologies, including virtual downlines in football. So that is it, folks. This is the origin of the virtual downline in football.
Those actually look pretty good.
They look really good now. Well, the NHL now, the dasher boards in the arena, they are
green screen,
just decals.
Oh.
But they have the technology. They're not even green screen anymore. They can just overlay it on top of the dasher boards as they are and show other advertisements during the game.
Huh.
Crazy.
I noticed watching baseball, they're a little behind because they have the overlay technology in the back because directly behind home plate has the same thing, but they still chroma key because it's a green screen and you can tell because every time they switch to the on home plate, it's a different color scheme than all the other cameras.
I mean, it makes sense though. If you're broadcasting nationally, you want to have national sponsors, but if you're broadcasting locally, you still want to have those local sponsors who paid for the dasher board space.
True.
But that technology's gotten much better. As part of a larger project with SAP and Sport Vision, the NHL had since experimented with player and puck tracking using embedded microchips. Obviously, much better technology now. They demonstrated this during the 2019 All-Star Game and are planning on deploying it for the future. I don't know when or if it happened. I mean, that's smart. I think they're talking about doing it in football too, because part of the issue is why look at cameras that are never oriented where you need them to determine what happened if you could just have microchips that could tell you if it crossed the goal line or if it crossed the, either in football or hockey. What if you could just tell based on the sensor instead of going to the headquarters and people putting on the headphones and looking in those little camera things with the viewer and the hood they put on? It would just be easier if it just knew,
I mean, but that would take away the fun of yelling at refs at both hockey and football games.
It would just be more accurate and more fair, I think.
And then what are we going to do for soccer? Are we going to put microchips in micro mesh?
They only score once a season, so I don't think it really matters that much.
I was thinking more for whenever they're performing to get a penalty, Like,
oh yeah, they're like writhing on the ground because someone like breathed on them.
Correct. Yes. Like, should we put them in like some sort of mesh suit that has sensor contact?
With pressure sensors?
Exactly.
Yes. Like, that was the equivalent of a butterfly landing on you and you're writhing around on the ground. Like, knock it off.
You get a yellow card. Yeah.
Slap someone with a yellow card. So I don't know. Like, I think I have a couple thoughts on this whole glowing puck thing. One is they were trying to make the most of really god awful TV technology. I mean, yes, it was better than the TV in the 60s, but it still wasn't good.
Yeah, but like watching hockey on your big screen TV versus I think we had like a 32-inch TV at best. There was a difference in quality there too.
Yeah, but I do think so. There's like, I agree. You're catering to the lowest common denominator in that like they can't follow the puck. Where if you know about hockey, you don't need to see the puck the whole time.
Right.
And even if you don't see the puck, if you know enough about the game, you know where the puck is going to go and you know how a player behaves when they've picked it up. Like, you kind of know what's going on. I just think the idea that you have to see the puck every step of the way to enjoy the sport is incorrect. And if you don't like the sport, seeing the puck isn't suddenly going to make you like it more.
I would rebut that. It made sense that seeing the puck would allow newcomers to come to the game and try to understand it, because I, like, as a kid trying to follow the puck, like, I hated watching hockey on TV. I would much rather go to a Thunderbirds game.
Yeah, hockey's not good on TV. Even with 4K, HD, all this crap, it's just not that good on TV. I
think it's good on TV now. I enjoy watching hockey on TV now.
I mean, it's more enjoyable to watch, but if you want to get new people to like hockey, you got to put some butts in some seats. I mean, that's just the atmosphere of the arena, the goings on, the stuff between the whistles, the fights, the action. It's much more exciting in person.
True, but you get a better view of the fighting on TV. Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely pros and cons, but I think as far as if you wanted someone to really like get into it, you need to get them to a couple of games. I mean,
true.
For me, like, I'll watch it on TV, but like, it's boring. Like, it takes forever. They don't score that much. And it's like every time I look away and go do something, they freaking score. I'm like, come on. But now we have DVR, I should say. And
you can just plow through it.
Combat that. But
my only complaint is the fact that it still takes 18 minutes for a Zamboni to re-ice the.
Well, they don't move that fast. They usually run 2 of them. Realistically, they can do it in about 10 minutes. But part of it is like these guys are spending 7 minutes on the ice each period in 60 or 90 second shifts, and they're going hard the whole shift. So they're like dog tired. And I just don't think you could sustain 60 minutes with a short break in between. It's
something soccer, football, 90 minutes.
Yeah, but I wonder.
Without a break.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, but they're also not wearing like their own body weight in pads.
That's fair.
Also, they have to stop and have a Molson. Like, they're Canadian. You have a Molson,
They run down to the Tim Hortons for a coffee.
Yeah, the Tim Hortons.
And a curler.
But I mean, truly, the Zamboni doesn't move that fast. It has to
shout out to our Canadian friends.
Scrape the ice. It also has to drop the water on it, and the water has to dry sufficiently. Then they have to put the nets back down, and that takes a couple of guys some time. And then, of course, they have to have like the gimmicky contests between to like make money and try to entertain the fans. But
I think that's just entertain the fans.
I mean, yeah, but they're trying to like vamp until the ice is done.
Right.
But anyway, it's a fun game. I do enjoy it. I would like to get to a Kraken game this next year. So
same.
We'll broadcast live from. No, we're not going to do that. From the bathroom of the Climate Pledge Arena.
follow us on Instagram, and we'll do a little.
We'll
Instagram
go live. Yeah, we'll go live. And that's
once I upgrade my data plan.
Oh, that's still a thing for you. I don't have that.
I don't have a family plan, so
I just have T-Mobile, and all the lines just have unlimited. There's no family anything.
Yeah, but I also like having service.
Oh, T-Mobile's great now. It used to be bad, but it's great. And
yeah, my girlfriend has T-Mobile.
Catherine Zeta-Jones used to be. Catherine Zeta-Jones used to be in the commercials.
True. But what about Catherine Beta-Jones?
Catherine Theta-Jones? A new podcast where we just use Greek letters.
And replace people's names.
All right. Well, that concludes my 90s hockey thing. If you're interested in hockey, check out the Stanley Cup playoffs starting June 3rd, which is previous to today. Not a sponsor.
Game 2 is probably today. If you're listening to this on Monday when it comes out.
Tommy John, undershirts for... No, I'm just kidding. Not every podcaster has Tommy
that's
John.
BarkBox.
And Blinds.com.
Promo code, namely 90s. And that's it for this week's deep dive edition of Sportsly 90s. Remember, you can find new episodes out every Monday. Join us again next week for our variety show episode. Find us on Instagram at namely90s with 90s and tell us what you want us to talk about on future deep dive episodes. If you'd like to support the show, please check out our Patreon at patreon.com/namely90s, also with 90s. Finally, you might be able to reach our website, namely90s.com. Please subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Audible, FoxTrax, Deezer, TuneIn, iHeart, Good Pods, wherever you get your podcasts from. I'm Brandon. That's Andrew, and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, the whole thing was so fucking annoying.